So in 2011, we made our first big move, acquiring C&G Concrete and Nottingham Ready Mix. This marked our first entry into the ready-mix concrete market. It was a fairly modest 10 million deal, but it opened up new regions and markets within the UK. It also introduced new systems and new ways of working. This was our first taste of post-acquisition IT complexity.
By 2013, we'd expanded again, picking up assets from Aggregate Industries and Marshalls. A combined investment of over 50 million. That gave us more quarries and concrete plants and widened our geographic coverage. But every acquisition added more legacy systems and more ways of working.
And then came our game changer. In 2016, we acquired Hope Construction Materials, 336 million. This was our entry into the cement and railhead markets. It came with the Hope cement plant that's on the screen now. It's it is the largest cement plant in the UK. High volume, high stake operations with safety and environmental compliance baked in. From an IT perspective, that was a whole new level for us, having to support these systems, industrial control systems, emissions tracking, 24/7 critical uptime. And we really had to elevate our infrastructure game.
Yep. In 2017, we picked up Pro Mini Mix and did an asset swap with Tarmac. These deals helped us deepen our local delivery capabilities and secure mineral reserves. Small acquisitions in size, but big in operational impact.
2018 was another major leap. We acquired Lagan Group for 455 million. That took us across the Irish Sea, turned us into a multinational company. Lagan brought us more quarrying, another cement plant, contracting, and all the complexities of operating in a new country with new regulations, and most of the time with limited connectivity at rural sites. In 2019, we further strengthened our contracting capability by acquiring a small surfacing company in North Wales, roadway surfacing and civil engineering. This was a small addition to the group, but it still added pressure to keep our IT resilient.
Then in 2020 came the largest deal to date, the acquisition of Cemex UK assets. Throughout the COVID pandemic, we brought in 89 sites all at once. This was a mix of quarries, concrete and asphalt plants. It was a major integration challenge, and suddenly we had dozens of new sites to bring online fast. And we needed infrastructure that could keep pace and withstand the harsh conditions. And in 2023, we focused on regional strength, acquiring Broombros, Minster Surfacing and Robinson's Quarry Masters. These helped us solidify our presence in Yorkshire, Northern Ireland and the Midlands, small in scale but important strategically.
And then came our boldest move yet, international expansion into the United States. In 2024, we acquired BMC Enterprises in Missouri, and then in 2025, we followed up that deal and acquired Linemark Construction. Together, those moves are worth over $500 million, and with them came new challenges, new time zones, data sovereignty, and the recognized need for global standardized infrastructure.
These are just some of the key acquisitions Breedon have made, but the expansion didn't stop there. We've also had several joint ventures which have brought their own complexities. So from a single market business in 2008 to an international vertically integrated operation in 2025, the growth has been extraordinary. But every acquisition brought with it a new level of complexity. At Breedon, our core values are make it happen, keep it simple, show we care, and strive to improve. And that's why our partnership with Scale has worked so well.
Yes, as you've just heard and seen on the timelines, Breedon's growth over the last decade, certainly for a small independent construction company in the UK, has been nothing short but transformational, really. None of it would have been possible or sustainable without a solid foundation in IT, and that's where Scale comes in. Our relationship with Scale started back in 2012, and it's scaled right alongside the business. In 2012, we deployed our first HC1000 storage cluster in England. It supported our core operations from head office and paired with our existing Hyper-V host. By 2013, we'd added a second HC1000 cluster, which we later converted to full native HCI in replacement of the Hyper-V host.
Then in 2014, as we expanded in Scotland, we deployed HC4000 HCI systems to support new acquisitions. Very useful at key remote sites with poor network connectivity. It was our first steps towards consolidating and simplifying our infrastructure. We immediately saw the benefits with ease of management, stability, and performance.
Nice little picture of scale fleet there. In 2015, we added a larger HC1250D scale cluster. That was installed in one of our local data centers in a colo rack. It supported our growing application stack and ongoing M&A activity. This was about building capacity, but also remaining flexible. We needed infrastructure that could adapt as fast as our business was growing.
Then came Hope Construction. Acquiring the largest cement plant in the UK pushed our infrastructure needs into overdrive. We extended into a private cloud solution, splitting workloads between on-prem scale clusters and cloud-hosted VMware. Fast forward to 2019, we migrated the entire cement plant infrastructure to scale HCI, deciding to reduce our private cloud footprint while improving performance and reliability on-site operations.
Okay, so in 2021, we replaced the entire infrastructure in Ireland with scale. This included the Kinnegad cement plant that's on the screen now. This is one of Europe's most advanced cement plants. It's again, hosting plant control system, emissions, compliance, and also safety automation barriers here. So we managed to do this while improving disaster resilience by replicating the systems between Kinnegad and our Mollusk head office sites in Northern Ireland.
In 2022, the business recognised the need for digital maturity, and we formally started our digital transformation journey. We committed to a hybrid cloud approach. The strategy was clear: scale computing for on-prem compute, with cloud services laid on top where they made sense. We also deployed a new scale HCI cluster to support our group-wide finance systems, further reducing our private cloud footprint in favour of on-premise compute.
Then in 2023, we had the exciting opportunity to explore IoT and further install edge compute. And scale made that easy. We rolled out the HC151 NUC clusters at various sites. We were using this to support real-time operational data collection. These clusters are also running our automated cement weighbridges and also integrating with IoT services and cloud microservices, so the likes of Azure IoT Hub and Power BI. We're bringing intelligence right to the edge.
And this year, we've deployed a full NVMe 3450F series scale cluster dedicated to our data and analytics platforms. It runs our BI databases, Kubernetes nodes, Power BI gateway, helping us bridge high-performance compute with cloud-native tools for users across the business.
Okay, so starting in 2012 with the storage cluster, we've now got a pretty distributed HCI platform in 2025. Scale computing has supported every step of our journey, whether that's core infrastructure, edge compute, or delivering business analytics. Scale's helping us to deliver the performance and flexibility whilst keeping it simple.
As we look to the future, our focus remains on building resilience, expanding innovation, and simplifying our IT operations even further. We're working to achieve this by increasing our disaster recovery resilience by expanding virtual machine replication to a dedicated disaster recovery environment. This will help us ensure business continuity no matter what challenges come our way.
We're also planning to expand the use of IoT and edge compute. We've already seen the benefits of real-time operational data at remote sites. We're excited to expand that further. We're bringing even more intelligence to the edge.
I think the boots are a nice touch.
Pardon?
On the photo, the boots are a nice touch.
Yeah, well, we were trying to keep it very much explaining our harsh conditions and the fact that we've got these NUC clusters installed in really dusty environments, cement plants, such a fine dust. They're installed right underneath the weighbridges, and they're fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how many have actually worked in sort of plant or in quarry environments, but as the guy said, not a particularly friendly environment at all. And Darren here, who's the partner that works with the guys here, it's a pretty harsh environment. And again, this flexibility of these units has really helped in that respect, hasn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yep, we're also working to move more of our compute workloads back to on-premise. Continue to transition between private cloud environments and our trusted scale HCI infrastructure. This shift will give us greater control, improved performance, and help us manage costs more effectively.
And finally, we're exploring new ways of delivering applications to our users, through remote application platforms. That's a tongue twister, isn't it? We're looking at solutions like Parallels and Azure Virtual Desktop, enabling us to combine the power of on-premise scale computing with the flexibility and scalability that you sometimes need with cloud-based microservices. This hybrid approach allows us to deploy cost-effective remote applications to the business. In short, the next phase of our journey is all about resilience, innovation, making technology simpler. We're excited to continue that journey with scale computing by our side. If you've got any questions?
Yeah, a few points. I mean, and just taking a step back to where one of the sort of more recent purchases you made, where you moved some of the workloads, sort of repatriated them from your sort of hosted environment with partner in Derby. And some of the reasons why you did that, I think performance was part of that reason, but it's interesting why you moved back.
It was shortly after the purchase of Hope back in 2015, 2016. We were a company of 35 sites, and we brought this company that had 200 sites. We very much, more than 4 or 5 times our business, and the business were a little bit unsure as to the direction we were going to go, whether or not we were going to dissolve some of the assets and sell them on, because we were sort of hitting CMA regulation, so we were sort of monopolising some of the markets. So it wasn't really practical for us to invest heavily in CapEx and on-prem compute. So the OpEx model that we had with the VMware Cloud with our existing network provider really, it worked for us then.
Yeah.
But you're right, we have had some performance issues with it, and scale, when we've factored in some of the systems we're looking at now, some of the BI systems we're doing, data analytics, its scale pays for itself in about 2.8 years over the 5-year support term. When you compare that to things like the Azure cloud and the private cloud that we're currently in, based on the workloads that we're doing.
Sure, that's good to know. And just moving on a little bit around, sort of back to the edge piece as well. You mentioned that you're looking at Azure for some of their sort of IoT tools. Obviously, you're looking to run that actually at the edge on the
So we are already running it on the edge. So we've got 2 proof of concepts going at the moment. One of them is for inventory systems for our tile business. We've got pallets of tiles. We don't really know how many tiles are there. It's just someone approximating and guessing.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is we're going to stick barcodes on them, and we're going to use an edge compute NUC cluster, because again, connectivity in these rural places isn't always perfect, and if you're going to run your business off it, it needs to be solid. That's one of the IoT projects we're doing. So loading shovels will be able to know exactly where the pallets are, how many pallets are there. That'll give customers a better experience, really. The second one we're doing is all about emissions and sustainability.
Right.
So we are running a proof of concept with our asphalt plants. One of them's in Kinnegad, and the other one's up your way, up in the north.
Yep.
What we're doing there is, our business is not very environmentally friendly. When you make concrete, it's made a bit like plastic. When you made it, it's there. You're very difficult to get rid of. So what we're trying to do, we're trying to identify ways in which we can make that a little less painful on the planet, whether it's reducing the amount of cement we put into concrete loads, reduce the amount of water, look to use more recycled water. So the proof of concepts we're running here are collecting data from these plants using the NUC clusters. And then we're sending that up to the Azure IoT hub. And then we've got our BI teams that are working with Power BI. So the information we're taking from on-prem is being filtered into the cloud, and then through Power BI. So essentially, our users are seeing a nice feature-rich application at the end of it. Everyone in our business are accustomed to Microsoft. Everyone sees the single sign-on page. So Gail's helping us take that from the edge and present it to users in a nice feature-rich way.
I'm going to take a risk with the next question. Why are you not running Microsoft at the edge? As in running Windows, Microsoft is your stack for HCI. I haven't obviously warned you I was going to ask you that, but I'm just interested.
Two reasons, really. Expense.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been to some of the London venues where they're showing you AWS in a box and the Azure HCI, and we have had to play around with it. It's mainly expense, but it's also skill. The amount of skill that is required in cloud far exceeds scale. Scale is simplicity engineered, isn't it? Or simplicity by design, if you want to say. And we want something, we're not a huge IT business. We need something we can just plug in and forget and just trust that it's going to work. And if we need to access it remotely, we've got the fleet manager for that. That's it, really, just expense and skills.
Just interested. Thank you for that.
Okay.
And beyond that, what about other integrations and things like that you've worked on? Obviously, with the API, obviously, help desk integration.
Yeah, we were thinking of this really without being too sort of, scripted. But I suppose the Ruckus wireless data plane might be quite good. One, the guest network we've got.
Yeah, so we're using a Ruckus data plane application, which we're hosting in our scale that we have in our data center, and we can tunnel all of that guest Wi-Fi traffic back to the data plane application, VLAN it off using the scale's VLAN tagging, and break that out through our centralized internet breakout, keeping it completely isolated from our corporate traffic, really for security purposes and things like that, really.
Yeah, so obviously it relies on the network as well, but we don't need to have separate breakouts at every single site. We're utilising, again, scale and the sort of native VLAN tagging that they've got there, funnel all the traffic back to the Ruckus data plane and then straight out through our core firewall on a different public.
You mentioned uptime being critical, very important to the business. What's your sort of general support experience been like over the years?
Well, I think it was 12 seconds was mentioned yesterday, and I think we were both laughing and joking about it yesterday because we actually would concur with that. We would absolutely agree with that. I think we haven't had to use scale support much, and the one time we have had to use them, they've been flawless. Typical example was probably about 8 years ago. It was an Easter Sunday, and we were doing a big project, and one of the guys that hadn't been with us long, he over provisioned a file server massively, and he left data copying over it every single night. And I think for those that did the advanced training yesterday, the way the block level works, it doesn't allocate all that storage when you make the VM. So as it was growing and growing, basically that VM was just not available anymore. The rest of the VMs were perfectly fine. It was just that VM couldn't start up. We rang scale support. I'm not sure if it was actually Leonard Powers at the time that would help us with that.
It could have been at the time. Yeah,
I can't guarantee it was 8 years ago, but it was certainly within the last 6 years, 7 years. And answered the phone, opened a support tunnel, and it was probably about 2 hours later that VM was shrunk back down again and was made available. So the cluster was fully operational. So on an Easter Sunday to get the level of service, 12-second pickup, 2-hour turnaround time to fix, that was great. We haven't seen that anywhere with any of our other partners. So yeah.
Great. Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, we have got other integrations as well. We tended to try and sort of steer this in a more of a Breedon story and how scale have naturally grown with us.
Sure.
We have got some technical implementation. So again, for the ones that were at the advanced training yesterday, they discussed the OpenID SSO. We've got that implemented on all of our clusters, and our fleet manager links in with our Entra, with the RBAC roles as well. So we've got different groups in Entra for different IT engineers at different levels, and that filters through to scale and grants them the required access that we want, that we choose to give them. We've also got a nice API one as well, haven't we?
Yeah, actually? So we've got a schedule, again, something that was mentioned in the advanced training. We've got scheduled API scripts running to pull condition information from the scale clusters, so we can see when a scale cluster needs an update. We'll pass that over to a workflow that'll create a service desk ticket, so we're alerted about it, email notification. That's very much the way we're on the.
We did slightly script this one, to be fair.
Yeah, this is how we're able to get that notification immediately once them updates are required on the scale clusters.
Yeah. It's quite nice because we can customize that quite nicely. We can include the scale support email, so if an engineer is doing that out of hours, they've got a support contact all ready to go.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you think you'll be taking advantage of the fleet manager API that was discussed?
Yes, we will. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This. I mean, we've got an engineer, Tom, in our team, and we've onboarded several different sort of monitoring solutions elsewhere in the business, and he's really got the hang of APIs. So he's just learning, and this is just something he did in his spare time. Because
what do you use for monitoring, by the way?
Logic Monitor.
Okay.
So yeah, we are looking at taking all the syslogs from scale clusters into Logic Monitor as well, but that's very much quite a large piece of work. Logic Monitor. I'm not sure if you're aware of if you know NOC solutions, but they can be quite in depth. So yeah, that's hence why we need scale, because it install it, forget it, and it allows us to focus on other things. We did touch on joint ventures earlier, and I guess the Nook's on the screen down there, so I'll go back to the Nook again. But our joint ventures are typically either 50-50 or 51-49 share. Now, that typically means that they have the controlling share, and when we go through these JVs, it's normally arranged that Breedon IT supports their company as a group-wide IT function. So where the Nook clusters come in, these joint ventures are sometimes smaller businesses, and they don't have the money, or they don't want to invest the money in huge servers. They're not really interested in going into the cloud. The Nook clusters are within reach of smaller businesses, but they also stick within our support model. So all of our engineers know exactly how to support them. Because the fleet manager doesn't need to have network connectivity, it uses the secure tunnel, we can still support them whether they're within our SD-WAN or MPLS network or not.